Welcome back to the Premier Challenge here at Pokemon Labs. We're getting ready to start round 2, and we got some very interesting teams ready to come up for you right now. Or, you know, in a minute, because my timing's off right now. There we go. Let's get started. On the left side, you're going to see Dorian, Perez carrying that Crobat, Sarina, Stakataka, Kyogre, Xerneas, and Incineroar. On the right, you got Kyle Hudson with Yveltal, Incineroar, Kyogre, Tapu Fini, Shedinja, and Sarina. Two very interesting teams here. Dorian has that double speed coverage with Crobat, possibly carrying that Tailwind, and Stakataka, known for being a Trick Room user. Well, Kyle here has that Tailwind and Yveltal, possibly. Yveltal is one of those Pokemon with many uses, so you never quite can predict it. And not really anything else that can help him with that speed there. We also see duplicates of that Kyogre, Incineroar, and Sarina on each side. And that Shedinja is very interesting, because keep in mind, it can only get hit with super effective attacks, and Dorian, he could carry a few of those with Incineroar and Stakataka and Sarina, possibly if it carries knockoff. Depends on what that Sarina has, so that's going to be a rather interesting team here. We also see both of the X and Y combination here, the Kyle's combo. Dorian carrying Xerneas, Kyle carrying Yveltal. And usually, both of them are really good. They're very interesting to see how they go up against each other. Depending on the speed tier, Yveltal can knock off Xerneas with get rid of that power herb, which does help it set up Geomancy in one turn. But that's only if you're faster, and you never know with Xerneas. That's one of the, like I said earlier, Yveltal's a very versatile Pokemon. Xerneas can run a bunch of different sets as well. You can go fast, you can go bulky, so you got to really predict that. So let's get into the match. We are going to see the lead here start off with Dorian's side going for Crobat and Incineroar, putting that Fake Out and Tailwind pressure on Kyle's team, who will go with Kyogre and Sarina, preventing that Fake Out thanks to Queenly Majesty. And Kyogre here really has a decent matchup against Dorian with that Water Spout. We also see it's really fast with that Drizzle, although there's not really, you know, it's faster than Incineroar, but there's not very many abilities that you can see. You gotta judge safely. Is this Kyogre Choice Scarf if you're Dorian right now? Because the Crobat and Incineroar both will take a massive damage from a Water Spout, but if you are faster with that Crobat, you can go for a Super Fang, go ahead, release a little bit of that damage, make sure it doesn't get hit as hard, possibly survive an attack. So Kyle might predict that if he's not Choice Scarf. So it's going to be an interesting matchup here. We're going to see Dorian switch out into his own Sarina, so that will take the Water Spout or Water Attack from Kyogre nicely. And we see the Sarina faint on Kyle's side, but that will not hit thanks to Dorian's own Sarina. And there's that Water Spout. It does outspeed the Crobat, meaning that the Crobat, it is Sash, so it will take that hit, but the Crobat being slower means that Kyle's Kyogre is Choice Scarfed. That doesn't last very long, though, as Dorian's able to set up that Tailwind, and now both of his Pokemon have that in play. Sarina still might be slower than that Kyogre. That's going to be kind of interesting to see, because we know that Kyogre's Choice Scarf, a +1 Kyogre versus a +2 from everything from Dorian's side is going to be a bit tricky to counter. We see Kyle switching to that Shedinja, meaning it can only take super effective damage. We also see Cross Poison from Crobat, does just over 50% on Sarina, and gets the poisoning on Kyle's side, so that Sarina's not going to be lasting long. And we also see Shedinja's Wonder Guard, which thinks that Power Whip, it will not survive, or it will survive that Power Whip thanks to that. It was targeting on the Kyogre, as we see Sarina switch out from Kyle's side. Now he gets to go into anything. He chooses anything he thinks best. We know that he has the Kyogre and one more Pokemon. We don't exactly know what it is yet. And we're gonna see that Tapu Fini. So that Tapu Fini prevents status conditions thanks to its Misty Terrain. And now we're back in another turn, a completely different game than what we were watching just a few minutes ago. Kyle was able to actually switch out both of his Pokemon. Still has them both in the back. You know, Dorian does have that Kyogre in the back as well. Right now, Crobat, we saw that Cross Poison as well, so that usually Crobat carries Taunt, Tailwind, Super Fang, and a fourth move. U-Turn or Cross Poison are the most common, and we see that Cross Poison right there, so we now get that reveal from Dorian. We also know his Sarina is really bulky. It was able to take that. Does not have the berry, so a couple options that we can see with that Sarina there as well. And there's the Incineroar coming back out from Dorian's side, gonna get that Intimidate off on Kyle's Shedinja. If it's a physical attacker, Shedinja's quite unusual. And we see it go for ally switch, so it will try and save that Tapu Fini from getting cross-poisoned. And it does so successfully, so Tapu Fini is going to get a free attack here. Goes for Icy Wind to try and remove that Tailwind. And actually, it does do a decent job because it is going to be able to remove the Crobat from play on Dorian's side. And because of that, now he can't set the Tailwind up, and his Incineroar is at -1. Even though he still has that Tailwind up for a couple more turns, it definitely puts a huge advantage on Kyle's side to set up that Kyogre later, especially when we do know that Sarita's down to 6 health, he's got Incineroar, and we know that Dorian's last Pokemon is the Kyogre. Kyle can really come in and do some brutal damage with another Kyogre here, but he does have to watch out for that. When it comes to Incineroar on that Shedinja, you gotta really think it through. Shedinja is known for carrying Focus Sash, so Dorian could go for that double knockoff onto that slot. He could go for a Power Whip onto Tapu Koko, or now what is switching out into Sarina. So in this case, a good play here would be that double knockoff, but we're going to see Power Whip in a possible switch, or predicting that ally switch, and a Flare Blitz from Dorian's side. So he will get that Shedinja. It is going to be Focus Sash, so we see it take 0 damage. That is so much fun to see, a Pokemon take absolutely no damage there. And we see that Shadow Claw remove of Sarina for good. It is gone. We now have Dorian's last Pokemon on the field. We do know it's Kyogre. We don't know the item on it, and the Tailwind is gone. So that is a bit concerning for Dorian here, as he's going to have to break through the rest of Kyle's team with just his last 2 Pokemon. Incineroar and Kyogre are both very... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we saw Kyogre. We saw Xerneas. Now, that's interesting too. Dorian could... Actually in a really safe position to set up this Geomancy. Sarina doesn't really have much that it can do. If it is carrying that possible knockoff, it's too slow to do anything with it. Incineroar has a good hit on Shedinja. Dorian might be able to set up the Xerneas effectively, and looking at the rest of Kyle's team, there's not very much that it can do to stop it here. Shedinja, I have no clue on what Shedinja could do. We really don't see it often here in this format, so it might have a trick up its sleeve to stop Xerneas, but right now it looks like Dorian's going to be able to set up this Geomancy safely, and might be able to remove that Shedinja thanks to Incineroar. And here we go. There's that Geomancy, like I said. And we're going to see that Power Herb most likely come out. So Dorian will get that Geomancy, get the +2 in special defense, special attack, and speed. And that's going to help him, especially because the rest of Kyle's Pokemon in the back are both special attackers, Tapu Fini and Kyogre. So good defense raise, good special attack raise. Dorian set himself up really nicely. We're going to see Shadow Claw come out from Kyle's side, do very little damage, and Sarina wants out of there. Does not want to even try to survive against this Xerneas, because they know it is going to be tough to beat. As it goes out, and now has 2 options. You have both of them water types, and we are going to see that water type come out. Could be that Tapu Fini in an attempt to maybe slow down the Xerneas with an Icy Wind. And there we do see that come out at full health. That is going to be a pretty brutal Pokemon to try and beat. And we do see that knockoff from Incineroar. That will remove the Shedinja completely. That was kind of an interesting mod to bring in. It was really fun though. But now Kyle's got 2 Pokemon left. You have that Kyogre with the Choice Scarf. You have that Sarina come in as well. So we're going to see the Kyogre come in from Kyle's side. It's a bit of an interesting scenario because you do have that Xerneas at +2. Kyogre with the Choice Scarf is at +1. So, well, it's really up to Dorian here to either double target, go for that double attack on Kyle and Kyogre. Or, I'm sorry, on Tapu Fini and Kyogre from Kyle's side. Or with the Dazzling Gleam. Or you could go for the Moon Blast and try and remove Kyogre. And then again, Kyogre is sort of bulky, so it might be able to take that special attack. It's when you look at Kyogre, it's more special defense invested compared to other Pokemon, so this could go either way. This is a really interesting matchup here. We're going to see Kyogre switch out, go into Sarina, so it does not want to deal with the Xerneas yet. Possibly going for an Icy Wind to try and remove that. We'll see that Moonblast come out, and it does target that Sarina, so they want that Icy Wind to remove that Xerneas here. We're going to see Haze come out! Okay, Icy Wind and Haze. A very common strategy with Icy Wind, but Haze has seen very much less use recently with Tapu Fini. But either way, it was a really good strategy from Kyle. And kind of unexpected. But now he's got essentially a free play here to go into that Kyogre. Click on Water Spout. There's not very much you can do if you're Choice Scarfed. Or if you're facing a Choice Scarf. There's that Kyogre once again. So, in this case, Kyle Hudson, with that haze coming in clutch, is looking good to take this game, unless Dorian Perez can go ahead and pull this out from the back. Definitely behind a little bit after that haze. And that Tapu Fini coming in clutch as well. That was a very interesting play, but that's why Tapu Fini is one of the more used Tapus in this format. It's definitely got its little niche there going for Icy Wind. And now haze being, like I said, it's, there you go. It really came in clutch there. Otherwise, that Xerneas could have blown through it. But Dorian Perez will go down. Kyle Hudson will take game number 1 of match number 1. Or round number 2. Game 1, match 1, same thing. So there we go. Going into game 2, we might see a couple switches here. We did not see the Kyogre from Dorian's side, so a bit interesting there, as we saw 3 Pokemon not legendaries, that aren't restricted legendaries. And usually, it's good to bring in your Kyogre against another Kyogre slot if you're Choice Scarf. So that maybe now that Dorian has scouted out that play, he's going to be able to observe, okay, I have an idea. I can go in, I might outspeed this Kyogre, go for that Thunder on it, try and remove it. And that does hit half of Kyle's team super effectively. So it might be better to bring that in. That might be a good adjustment for him. Also, Kyle with that Shedinja, definitely revealing the ally switch removes that element of surprise. So now he's going to have to kind of get into a better position, figure out the best time to use that ally switch, because Dorian might be able to see it coming now that he's gotten that element of surprise out of the way. In addition, that Tapu Fini, I think with Kyle, like I said, that element of surprise that he had in the last round is now gone. And I think that might help Dorian a lot here, because he will be able to scout out Fini's Haze and Icy Wind, knowing that it is more of a support Pokemon. If he brings in certain Pokemon at better times, he will be able to look for that. So that's one thing that I see with Kyle's team, is it is definitely banking on very shocking plays. And I think now that those are out of the way, he got the first game, but now he's going to have to watch out for Dorian noticing what he is doing. Both teams taking a long time to lock in. It means they're definitely thinking through their plays. Kyle now locked in with 20 seconds remaining. And here we go. Let's get into game 2, round 2. Last time we saw both Pokemon, both teams bring in Sarina as one of their Pokemon. It definitely stopped Dorian from setting up that fake out on Incineroar. We also saw Kyogre come out, and we're going to see that Kyogre come out again from Kyle's side. This time going for Shedinja, and we're going to see Incineroar Kyogre from Dorian's side. So that double Kyogre, like I was saying, Dorian might want to bring that in first. We see that the Drizzle comes out first from Kyle's side. So knowing that you are a bit slower, you could use that to your advantage. You can use that to kind of predict, okay, they're going to go first. I can go for really, you really can use that to switch. I can go for the switch. I can go for that Thunder if I'm carrying it. It is a good play. Dorian, he's in a tricky position because he's going to have to worry about that Kyogre. Not going to be able to hit that Shedinja. And possibly could switch into maybe Sarina to try and help against that Kyogre damage and then focus on the Shedinja. But then again, Shedinja has Ally Switch. So Dorian has a lot to think about in this one turn. There's that Sarina switch. Are we going to see the Ally Switch? Yes, we will. And then the next thing that I'm curious to see if Dorian predicts this Ally Switch and going for a Thunder or a Water Spout. Water Spout really wouldn't do much if you are going onto Kyle's side. But against Kyle, like Dorian is, it will do a lot. And there's that Ally Switch Wonder Guard coming in clutch for that Shedinja. So a bit tricky there. Unfortunately for Dorian, didn't predict that one right. Now he does have a more favorable position against the Water Spout. The Sarina will get knocked out if you have that Water Spout once again come out from Kyle's side. We also saw that because Kyle moved first, he does have a Choice Scarf. And there's that other Water Spout. So it looks like Dorian Sarina will go down this turn, and it does. Will Dorian predict the Ally Switch again, but this time at the wrong time? There's the Thunder. It does connect with the Kyogre this time, so did predict that correctly now. And it does a really good amount of damage onto Kyle's Kyogre. Doesn't get the paralysis, though. Shadow Claw coming out from this Shedinja is going to go ahead and knock down that Kyogre to red health. And now Dorian's free to bring in a last Pokemon here. We saw his Incineroar. That would be a pretty decent pick. But he's going to bring out the Xerneas. Now, we do know that's, again, a decent pick because Kyle doesn't have any more mobility except for going for Water Spout on Kyogre and Shadow Claw on Shedinja, really. We don't know, other than Shadow Claw and Ally Switch, that's all the moves we know at this point. So Kyogre now has to switch out, or it's going to have to go through for a really low power Water Spout. This gives Xerneas essentially a free setup for Geomancy, but it will take some damage if Shedinja goes for that attack. We also saw Shedinja is intimidated, so it won't take as much damage as it would normally because of Incineroar's Intimidate. And we also saw that Dorian, we know his Kyogre is Choice Scarfed as well, so if he goes for the Thunder onto the Kyogre slot, anticipating it stays in, or anticipating a switch to Tapu Fini or Yveltal, he can get a super effective attack here. And there's that Tapu Fini switch, so if Dorian Dorian, let's see if he's going to switch out too, because Kyle did outspeed with his Kyogre, his switch will go first. And Dorian will switch out the Kyogre, so not going to get that Thunder onto Tapu Fini, instead intimidating onto that Shedinja. So we'll do very little damage onto the Xerneas, and Xerneas will be able to go ahead and get that Geomancy up. In this case, Dorian is in a very interesting position, but he's not out of the game yet. He has Fake Out from Incineroar. He also has the ability to go for the Moonblast Fake Out onto this Tapu Fini this turn, because it does have Haze. It came in. Though the Xerneas outspeeds, you essentially have 1 turn or 2 turns if you use Fake Out to remove this Tapu Fini to get it, to remove the Haze, remove the Icy Wind or whatever you need. And we should see that Shadow Claw do very little damage onto that Xerneas. So Dorian, that Xerneas is going to be the main, all eyes are on that Xerneas. That's going to be his key to victory here if he's going to be able to remove that Tapu Fini here with a Moonblast, possible Fake Out. Incineroar might opt for that attack on Shedinja though with a knockoff or Flare Blitz. So in this case, it could go either way here. It really depends on if that Xerneas is going to be able to remove or immobilize Tapu Fini, keep it from moving here. We are going to see that Tapu switch out though, and it will now go into Sarina, so Fake Out is gone for good. But this Moonblast still will do a decent amount of damage, and there was that Fake Out, so most likely going on to that Tapu Fini. We see that Ally Switch as well, so that means Shedinja will take no damage if it gets hit with the Moonblast, and it does. Kyle's team definitely very status oriented. You see that Ally Switch, you see with Shedinja we have Wonder Guard on it as well, and then you see Haze, and more of a support move is Icy Wind on that Sarina. So you definitely see Kyle's team go for these specific plays to try and counter out that Xerneas or really any Pokemon that's used to set up. Dorian still has a pretty decent position here. He has an Incineroar, which does have super effective attacks on both of Kyle's Pokemon. Even though the Flare Blitz does do less damage in the rain to Sarina, it still does a good amount. Shedinja here will need to get hit twice thanks to that Focus Sash. And in this case, Incineroar does have a free Flare Blitz onto either side of the field. We see that Dazzling Gleam just in case a Switch Out or Ally Switch comes out from Dorian's side. To remove that Sarina does around 50%, and Incineroar gonna go for that knockoff on Shedinja. It also outspeeds Shedinja, which is a bit interesting. We also see Incineroar outspeed Sarina, which is another interesting play, that Sarina's relatively slow. We see the Shadow Claw crit onto the Xerneas, and a Sarina go for a high jump kick. Incineroar taking it with 13 HP and eats its berry. Very interesting there. Wow, okay. That was an exciting play right there. We now know that the Xerneas was able to take that hits at half health. It can go ahead and dominate this rest of this match here. Another Dazzling Gleam will get Sarina maybe down all the way. It's a little less than full health, so Dazzling Gleam could do it. It depends on if this was a high damage roll we saw in the last turn or a low damage roll. Incineroar did outspeed the Shedinja, could go for that knockoff. Ally Switch here, if Dorian went for that Dazzling Gleam, then that's going to hit both no matter what it does. Shedinja tried to survive this. If this knocks out the Sarina, though, that Shedinja is going down, and that Dazzling Gleam will knock out the Sarina, so we're going to see this knockoff or Flare Blitz. It's going to be knockoff from Incineroar to remove that Shedinja, and it is gone. So now Kyle down to his last two, which are Tapu Fini and Kyogre. And now we're going to be in a very interesting position because Tapu Fini, it has that Haze, but it really can't do much to beat Xerneas. Tapu Fini with Icy Wind and Haze is usually regarded as a super support Pokemon. It has a decent attack, but most of the time it's not going to be able to use that. And there is that Kyogre at so little health. that at this point, the only thing this Kyogre can do is go for that Protect, but we know it is Choice Scarf. Xerneas at +2 speed. A Dazzling Gleam from Dorian's side, or a Moonblast for that matter, will really do massive damage onto both sides. Dorian, Perez looking really good. That Xerneas setup was able to really help him out here. The rain is set up, so a massive attack coming from Kyle's side if he is able to get it off. It's going to come down to if this Kyogre can outspeed the Xerneas. Sometimes Kyogre might be able to outspeed if the Xerneas isn't fully speed invested. We also see Incineroar switch out into Dorian's own Kyogre just in case there is an Icy Wind or some sort of attack coming. And we actually see the Protect from Xerneas, possibly trying to get this Kyogre knocked out on his side to reset that and Fake Out from Incineroar. And that Origin Pulse will hit the opposing Kyogre, and in the rain it is enough to knock out. So now Dorian going down into his last Pokemon, which is Incineroar, and that Haze activates as well, which means all stat changes are eliminated, and it looks like the Haze actually works under Protect. So Dorian now in a bit of a tougher position, but it's still not game over for him yet. A good strategy, bringing in this Incineroar, which would be Fake Out and Moonblast Kyogre, get that Kyogre out for good, and then there's not very much that Tapu Fini can do to remove you. That really is your only choice here to get that Kyogre gone. You know it's Choice Scarfed. If it goes for another Origin Pulse, it will remove both of your Pokemon, so you really need to go double down in this Kyogre. Hope Tapu Fini is not actually masking that it is a more offensive Fini, that it is actually a defensive support Pokemon with Fake Out. That's your only hope against Kyogre here. We see the Dazzling Gleam from Xerneas, going to take some chip damage off of Tapu Fini as well, but it does remove that Kyogre. And without that +2, it really doesn't do much on the Tapu Fini. We see Scald from Tapu Fini! This is not a support Pokemon, this is a full-on attacking Tapu Fini! Dorian now in the tough spot here, but he still can, he still has a shot. He's gonna have to take the Scald in the rain, which is a really hard thing to do against a Tapu Fini. It depends on what that Xerneas set is. If it is invested in special attack, and he goes for the Moonblast, lowers Tapu Fini's special attack, there's a shot. This Moonblast also needs to do just 40%. That's enough. It didn't get the special attack drop. Is it gonna take the Scald? This is where it takes the Scald! And another Moonblast. Looks like it'll be enough thanks to Xerneas' Fairy Aura. This is intense. It's gonna come down to if this Moonblast can knock out the Tapu Fini. Here we go. There is that Moonblast. It hits the Fini, and it does not take it out. What a match. Oh my gosh. And there's the Scald from Tapu Fini to finish off the Xerneas. My goodness. What a match. What a match. That was one of the most exciting matches we've seen. And that'll do it. Kyle Hudson is going to take this game and the round. Wow. I'm out of breath after that one. That was really intense. That was a close game. I don't know what to say after that, besides that was really good. Props to both players, because that Moonblast, it did enough. At first it looked like it could have just come down to luck. That is the name of the game too. Luck has a lot to do here with attacks here in Pokemon. Thanks for joining us for round 2. We'll see you for round 3 in just a moment.